Hey guys, it's Krishanti with Krishanti.com, and I learned how to be psychic, and you can too. Today, what I want to talk about that somebody asked me to cover is the whole dark side, and what she was specifically relating to is like her fear of when tuning into her psychic abilities, her clairvoyance specifically, the fear of seeing something really scary. And of course, it's a huge fear and naturally would create a stumbling block if you're worried about that. For some reason, when I learned how to do readings, I wasn't afraid of that. It like never crossed my mind that I would see anything scary. So sometimes I'm a little naive that way. So if you're thinking about that and you're worried, well, good on you to think about it, because there are scary things out there and I have seen them. Let's talk about some of the things I've seen. First of all, just with regular people, they bring some garbage with them sometimes, like stuff that's hanging out their aura and around them. And if you're doing energy work on them, you will sense it, you will, feel it, and you will see it. But if you're working with the light, which is what I do, which is what hopefully every light worker does, that light transmutes that darkness. But one time that I can remember, a guy came in when I was working at this healing center doing readings a while ago, quite a few years ago now. This guy came in and sat there and he said, "Just tell me what you see and nothing you say will surprise me." So I tuned in clairvoyantly and I just saw black running all throughout his whole body. And I was like, okay, this is what I see, black stuff running all through your body. And he's like, yeah, I have terminal cancer. I've been told I have like no time to live and all of that. So that was hard, but just like I was just viewing it and he knew and all that. I have seen people with, I'm trying to figure out how to say this so it doesn't scare you. I've seen people with like attachments and entities. In fact, I worked with somebody who had a very dark entity attached to her, and I couldn't work with her anymore. Another friend worked with her and saw the same thing. And they usually won't bother you if you just see them. You can say like, I kind of need to not do this session right now. If you're tuning in like, oh, I don't really think that we should continue right now. That's what I would advise if you're afraid of that. That was another thing I saw. When I worked at this place, sometimes they didn't do clearings enough, or we didn't like keep the energy clear and all of that. Because there were so many people coming and going, I likened it to the equivalent of the bus, which is like people come into the bus, they sit down, they leave their crap behind, and then they get up and get off the bus. And it started to feel really dirty like that. So sometimes there would be like I feel like I shouldn't even be talking about this because it's so dark. That's why I'm wearing my black lace top to talk about all this stuff, which is really funny to me, maybe not to you. But yeah, one time there was something there. I was doing a reading on somebody and I just felt on the side of my head this like tap, tap, tap. And then it felt like something like kind of was poking me, like kind of wiggling in. And then I started to get a headache. And I never, ever, ever get headaches. And I was immediately almost like sickened. I'm like, something's wrong here. I immediately went outside. I finished the session and went outside and stood in the sunlight, sat in the sunlight, and I did the middle pillar, which is a Kabbalistic ritual where you bring in a lot of light, and it's intense and complex, but it cleared me, and I had to do that outside in the sun. And then eventually I wasn't going there anymore. Of course, because of that, the energy wasn't really as high. It has to be very, very high. And that's something I'll tell you. And in fact, rather than talk about all these other things I've seen, those are pretty much the biggest, worst things. I'll talk a little bit more about stuff like that in a minute. But rather than go on about all of those things and get you really scared, what I will say is if you keep your energy very high, and very pure, and I'm talking sunlight, fresh air, lots of laughter, lots of music, dancing, fun, doing things that you love, you don't have to worry about the darkness. It's only when you're depressed and you're down in the dumps, or you're feeling like life is tedious and arduous, that even comes up. Okay, so don't worry so much about it. And when you go into your psychic space, of course, be super in the light, say a prayer before you begin, light a candle, just make sure that the whole space is sacred. And there are a lot of things you can do to create a very holy, sacred space. If you've ever been to a mass, they burn like copious amounts of copal, which is my favorite incense. It's so beautiful, and it like literally sort of raises the vibration. It's just incredible. I can't talk enough about how much I love copal, but that's very pure and high. Palo Santo, holy wood. It seems to like purify the air. Other people use. I had these tinga bells. I don't know where they went. I have to find them. But tuning forks. There are a lot of things you can do. Music, flowers, all that just like lightens the energy of a space and raises the vibration and keeps your energy high before you go into spiritual work. But prayers definitely help. And if for any reason you're into something and then you see something you don't like, shut it down, turn it off, go away, stop it. As I said before, I learned how to be psychic. So I learned how to turn it on and to turn it off. And when I'm not doing a reading on something or for someone, I'm not raw and open and like, I'm so psychic, because that's a little bit crazy making. Last year, I'd made a video about it. My friend Louise was here from Australia, and her girlfriend of quite a few years ago had died. Many years ago. I never met her, and I don't know if it was like the energy in the air or something planetary or whatever, but Sherry, Louise's girlfriend, used me to talk to Louise. And I've never been comfortable with mediumship because I don't want to see dead people. It's not my thing. But I got that telltale headache. Something was off. For me, and it might be the same for you, I'll get a headache for spirits. It's on this side of my head. And then I get the solar plexus ache. She came through, and then I kind of like had to deliver the message. It was like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. And Louise is one of my dearest friends and was really open, and we just let it all flow, and it was unmistakably her. It was just insane how incredible it was. And luckily she was a higher, like evolved spirit. In fact, part of why she was coming through is she's getting ready to reincarnate, which was super, really beautiful and amazing. But it must be so hard for the Long Island medium, because to just walk around your day and all of a sudden like, oh my God, wait, a spirit's coming through, I gotta talk. That's really stressful. You don't have any privacy. So if that's happening to you, or you're hearing voices or spirits are using you too much, or you're not down to be the Long Island medium, what worked for me was getting a sound healing with my healer friend who is a shaman, a master, and he turned it off. I don't know what he did. It's some kind of beautiful magic, but I saw the flower of life like everywhere, and that went away, thank God, because a bunch of other spirits had come through, and they just wanted to talk, like to deliver messages. But if you're dancing around and thinking about the idea of mediumship, absolutely get really trained on it, because I feel like I'm talking really fast here, sorry. But because spirits are really powerful. So early on in my psychic training, I made the decision that I was not going to deal with ghosts and spirits and dark heebie-jeebie things. I just wanted to be a happy little light worker to help people, like, reignite their spirit and to help them through whatever they're getting through and to give them hope and joy. So I was like, ain't no spirit's gonna talk to me. And they kind of stay away. When I say kind of, sometimes if a person in your session is really going through something burdensome and you're connecting to their energy, this is a little bit complex, so bear with me as I try to explain it. What can happen is, you have to be really grounded, but what can happen is like you engage with their spirit, and somehow or other, like you can shift where you are in the physical realm and go to like the astral plane with your consciousness. And on the astral plane is where all the ghosties come in. So if I'm not like super in a high up place, or the person I'm with is really mega down in the dumps, like save me, I'm so depressed, everything, I can get lost in the astral, and maybe you can too if you're practicing this. And then that's where you'll see like weird pictures come up clairvoyantly. You'll see like faces. That's how I mostly know that you're in the wrong place, or that it's not an enlightened guide. Those things will pop up on your radar, or you'll see it clairvoyantly with your eyes closed. And what you can do is what I was trained to do by my teacher, Deborah Katz, who's written extensively about clairvoyant training and readings and everything, is you make them look silly, like she would see a little beastie and put a baby bonnet on it and put it in a pram and like push it away. And it's funny that in that clairvoyant psychic space, as in real life, the dark things don't like silliness. People who want to be all evil, like they don't like to be made fun of. And then they go away, so they disperse. So the highest vibration of light and laughter, and I'm talking like anything that makes you laugh, that's really funny. I have a very naughty sense of humor that's not PC, and that helps me. That's what I think is funny, and it like helps like dissipate all that stuff. But for some reason, and I don't know exactly the reason why, when you step out of your like 3D reality and you're going to the spiritual realm, it's very easy to just hop over onto the astral plane. I think maybe because it's the next, I hope I don't sound like a dum-dum, like not knowing this authentically. I think probably because I don't like want to know so much, and I don't study it or read about it a lot. I just like do my readings and try to bring in light and everything. But the astral plane seems to be like an easy place for spirits to go. I know that when people astral project, like I'm doing the swinging thing, like you swing and then you just jump out of your body, they tend to go to the astral realm, flying around. And that's not, it's, if you want to do it, fine, do it. I don't know, I can't tell you like a whole lot about it because I try to avoid it, but I do know when I see spirits and faces and things that I've landed somewhere in the astral, and then I try to like get out of that up to somewhere higher or back into regular, like in your body, really in and really grounded. So I was thinking like, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about that, the whole astral thing, and how to try to just jump out of it. Although some people are interested in that kind of thing, and that is where spirit communication takes place. I remember. It is about guides. And from what I've seen over and over and over again, is if you're trying to connect with a guide and you see somebody with their face like and their big eyes like looking at you, that's not a guide. That's a like human. It's like a ghost or a spirit. So you'll just see those things like clairvoyantly. And all of this is more about clairvoyance. That's just something to be aware of. But just know that you might see things that aren't very pretty. You probably won't see anything horrible unless you are a medium and then people are showing you how they died and stuff. So if you just don't, it's complicated. It's all based on what you want to do, what you want to see. You can also set the tone for like the kind of images you're down to receive and the kind of images that you're not. So for me, I was raised on fairy tales, and they are deeply ingrained into my psyche. Like, I love fairy tales. So when I'm entering and navigating this clairvoyant world, I will see fairy tale pictures and images. I don't as much now. Sometimes that, like, some things kind of shift, or we fall out of things and into others, so it's like a little bit of fairy tale stuff and a little bit of just like knowing now, and sometimes now it's more like my guides just coming through and talking. So it's a mashup, I guess, of a mix of everything. But I would say, though, do not, if you're drawn to doing readings and healings, do not avoid it because you're scared of something dark. Because if you walk with integrity and you're one with the light, that won't bother you. I have a friend who's just amazing. She's a psychic surgeon, and she's just not afraid. Even, she'll see things, and she's out there, and she'll just say it. She's not afraid of like sounding kooky, because she is kooky, in a wonderful way. But she'll be like, just get out of here. Like, oh, I see some big badass things. Well, get the hell out of here, and they go. She's like, I'm not afraid. She just will do whatever. And when I say psychic surgery, I mean, she's like removing attachments and cleaning and clearing and, all of that stuff. So you have to adopt that attitude. And that's what I guess they call it, spiritual warrior. That's like a popular term to use now. Or spiritual gangster, although, anyway, that's what they're talking about, like clairvoyantly. You just don't have time for any of that nonsense. And if you encounter something a little like that's yucky, go and read a prayer book, or don't meditate unless you're saying prayers, because if you just try to meditate and you're sitting there, unless you can really go high really fast, you're just going to be sitting there. And what you need to do is to like raise your vibration. So listen to some really fun music that gets you moving and dancing and like in your body, and that will dissipate it, because they can't handle like being around someone that's like happy and here. And it is as simple as that. So any more questions about this stuff, let me know. I don't like to dwell on all the yucky stuff too much, so I'm not going to make a whole ton of videos about black evil crap, because I don't like it. But if there's something you want to talk about that's a little lighter, let me know. I'm happy to help. And if you're interested in psychic development, that's my whole arena. So check out Krishanti.com, and leave a comment below if you have ideas for other topics or things you want me to talk about. And I think that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.